The potential for Sergio Perez to lose his Red Bull seat during the summer break is all anyone's been able to talk about over the past few weeks. With Red Bull's rivals finding some form and the Mexican losing his, Checo is jeopardizing his team's chances in the Constructors' Championship. All that talk of performance clauses potentially offering a way for Red Bull to cancel Perez's contract meant many expected Daniel Ricciardo to drive the second half of the season in a Red Bull. But Red Bull's recent statement has put an end to all that speculation, and as a consequence, this could be the end of Daniel Ricciardo. Today, I'll check out what Red Bull said about Sergio Perez and what it means for their drivers now and next season, so don't go anywhere. After weeks of speculation and every indication that Red Bull had lost patience with Sergio Perez, its decision to stick with him after Formula One's summer break has surprised many. After all, it was only a couple of weeks ago that Red Bull team principal Christian Horner said that Perez's run of non-scoring form was unsustainable for its Constructors' Championship hopes. Then last weekend, just as Perez appeared to have done his cause no harm at all with a front row start in Belgium, he was shamed by Red Bull Motorsport advisor Helmut Marko after his form collapsed in the race as he drifted backwards. To be fair to Marko, Checo's 2nd to 7th place drive was far from what the team needed as McLaren continued to take points out of Red Bull's championship lead. A meeting at Red Bull's factory to discuss the Mexican's performance on Monday was just one of the reasons that people thought the end was nigh. Also, a filming day at Imola this week where Daniel Ricciardo and Liam Lawson will both drive the RB20 was billed as a straight shootout for the Red Bull seat from the Dutch Grand Prix onwards. Those two facts together was enough to convince many people that the end of Sergio Perez's Red Bull career was imminent. However, following that Monday meeting, Red Bull shocked everyone by deciding to go the other way. The team are committing to Perez for the rest of the season, meaning they see him as their best chance at retaining the World Constructors title. Checo remains a Red Bull racing driver despite all the speculation of late, Horner said. We're looking forward to seeing him perform at circuits where he's done well before after the summer break. Though it was less widely reported, Daniel Ricciardo was also at risk of losing his seat at VCARB. Marko said to F1 Insider, "Ricciardo is also staying, nothing will change." Having been soundly beaten by his teammate Yuki Tsunoda over the opening 8 rounds of the year, Ricciardo looked nowhere near a Red Bull seat, let alone a place in the sport beyond the end of the season. 3-point finishes in the last 6 races have improved his stock significantly though. However, while Yuki Tsunoda has a contract for next season, Daniel Ricciardo doesn't, and with Red Bull choosing to keep Perez on, Ricciardo is in big trouble. More on that in a minute though. First of all, many will be asking why Red Bull have decided to stay with Sergio Perez. In the last 8 races, he's failed to finish higher than 7th and hasn't looked a match for any of the Mercedes, Ferrari or McLaren drivers. He's scored just 28 points over those races, the least of the top 8 drivers in the sport at the moment. With a renewed challenge for the Constructors' Championship, Perez has gone missing just as Red Bull have needed him most. But while he has been found lacking, no one else on the Red Bull roster has done anything to prove they're any more worthy than he is. While Red Bull may have accepted they have a driver problem, it appears they've also accepted that there isn't a good solution. The problem is that Red Bull doesn't appear to have any belief that Yuki Tsunoda is mentally ready to fight for a top team. While the young Japanese driver has calmed down this season, his explosive personality has caused problems in the past, and if he was put in the Red Bull seat, the team are unsure he'd be able to handle the pressure. Something they've experienced in the past with Alex Albon and Pierre Gasly. And while Ricciardo has improved his form in recent races, he hasn't done anything to make him stand out against Sergio Perez. Then there is Liam Lawson, the promising youngster who is acting as reserve driver for both Red Bull teams this year. While he could be an option, throwing a driver with just 5 Grand Prix starts under his belt into a 4-way title battle would create an incredible amount of pressure upon him. The risk of breaking him before his career has even really begun is too great for Red Bull. For now, everyone holds station at Red Bull, with Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez continuing on till the end of the season. With Perez's contract running until the end of next season as well, that lineup may continue for another year yet. So what does all of this mean for Daniel Ricciardo? The Aussie driver was brought back to Red Bull for a few reasons. First off, he's a great marketing piece. As one of the most charismatic drivers in the sport, he has a great image, and his work with sponsors is always entertaining and successful. That is important. Having a marketable driver like Ricciardo makes bringing big-name sponsors on board like Visa and Cash App a lot easier. Visa and Cash App might have joined up with the Red Bull second team for this season even if Ricciardo wasn't on board, but we'll never know. His presence will have helped Red Bull at the negotiating table though. The second reason he was brought back was to give Red Bull a capable-looking backup for Sergio Perez if he was underperforming. The VCARB team has always been the Red Bull's training ground for their young drivers. It's a stepping stone for their F2 drivers to come and prove themselves at a Formula 1 team. Having Daniel in that seat at the moment is stopping Liam Lawson from moving up to Formula 1, and also stopping Isaac Hajar's progress through the Red Bull ranks as well. Isaac looks nailed on to be the F2 champion this season. Ricciardo isn't in the VCARB seat to help the team be competitive, he's there as a backup. With Checo's performance for Red Bull at an all-time low, a Constructors' Championship losing low, now is the time to play the Ricciardo card and make the switch. By not doing so, Red Bull are saying that they think an underperforming Perez is better than Ricciardo, and that is a death sentence for the Aussie's career. Having failed to perform at McLaren, his contract was cut short and he was left out in the cold. Now, having failed to perform at VCARB, Red Bull aren't using him for the purpose they brought him back to the team. Instead, they've been considering whether to swap him out for Liam Lawson for the rest of the season. They aren't, but the fact they are considering it tells you exactly what they think of his performances. With no contract for 2025 at the moment, the decision to keep Perez at Red Bull could mean the end of Daniel Ricciardo's career. Perhaps equally as surprising as the decision to keep Perez on at Red Bull is a complete turnaround in how Red Bull Racing are run. They're no longer the brutally ruthless team with an insatiable desire to find the best drivers in the world. The only reason there has been so much talk over Checo potentially losing his seat is because of that reputation. Of course, there will be discussion about why they've decided to change how they manage their drivers. Is it because of some kind of internal battle between Christian Horner and Helmut Marko? Maybe, but for now we can only speculate. Looking further forward, it seems inevitable there will be change at the end of the season. With Ricciardo's position uncertain, only a shocking upturn in performance levels could see him stay on at either Red Bull team past 2024. However, even if he does turn into the driver he was 6 years ago at Red Bull, Helmut Marko has insisted that change is coming. Marko has been on record as saying that Red Bull shareholders are eager to see youth integrated back into Red Bull's sister side, which presumably means a promotion for Liam Lawson. The Austrian has heightened rumours that neither Perez nor Ricciardo's current positions within Red Bull are secure, citing, "The cards will be reshuffled again for 2025. So for now, everything stays the same, but the Red Bull driver trouble is far from over. While everyone has managed to remain in the ring through the first round, the bell will ring for round 2 on the 25th of August at the Dutch Grand Prix, and then we'll see who can hold their own at Red Bull. Are you surprised that Red Bull have made the decision to stick with Sergio Perez? And do you think that this signals the end for Daniel Ricciardo? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.